Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Rashid, for arranging this webinar. And also special thanks to Mr. Asif for accepting our invitation to deliver the guest lecture today to our BBA and MBA students. So it's the culture of Skyline to continuously invite experts from the industry and academia to share their thoughts and insights about the best practices in the business. So we hope that in this guest lecture, students will be enlightened with regards to the global marketing strategy. So this is a very important topic. Think that while companies expand their businesses to international markets, they should understand how they can devise their marketing strategies, what are the best practices for managing the marketing programs and ensuring success. So Mr. Asif will be with us for 1 hour, and he also has an experience of more than 17 years. So Mr. Mohammed Rashid, shall I introduce him or you will introduce about Mr. Asif?
No, it's always been good that it should be coming from the professor. But just to give a little brief, I would suggest that let Mr. Asif to start with what we believe that his journey of success for 1 or 2 minutes in the beginning, and then we can start for the topic. So over to Mr. Asif Malik. Please, you can start with your slides you want to share and with the 1 or 2 minutes of your journey of success, which we all will be enlightened to listen. So over to you, Mr. Asif.
I have almost 18 years of professional educational experience in teaching and administration of higher education. I have MBA degree, then I have my MPhil in management sciences with major in marketing, and I'm a PhD scholar, currently working on my PhD research, and at the same time working as a deputy registrar for education policy making for one of the leading Pakistani university in Pakistan. And more or less, I have been to almost 15 countries and have given talks to almost 12 technologically advanced countries, European universities, on different topics related to education and business related activities from South Asian perspective and from European perspective. So this was some small introduction, and I would prefer, because we have just very less time, so prefer to go to the slides so that accordingly I can engage my students as well. And I would appreciate and I would request all of the students, all of the participants, or even the respective faculty members, that just do give me your own ideas and thoughts about whatever I'm going to say, because there are a lot of important things that I want your feedback as well. And I want what students and other faculty members are thinking on the same perspective that I am going to present in front of all the audience today. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Jalal and Mr. Rashid Khalid, for this opportunity. And I hope that we can create value for each other and for our students with this very, very fruitful and mutually rewarding academic collaboration between Skyline and Concepts University Islamabad.
Thank you.
I'm going to share the slides. So,
okay, you can start. Thank you.
just taking a moment. Please stay with me.
Mr. Asif, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you see my screen?
We were seeing your screen. Now we can see your slides.
Okay, is it visible, right?
Yeah.
So let
can
me
you
just
can you just make a slideshow? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to make it. Yeah.
Okay, we can start now.
Yeah. It's just like taking a moment to be displayed in front of myself. Yeah. So, dear students, this is the second part of our talk that we had in a couple of weeks back. And in that first talk, we primarily discussed about a few of the different modes of entry into global markets when any business really want to go to international markets. So what are the best possible options are available with those companies and organizations, and in which we have discussed about joint ventures, franchise, and licensing, and there are a couple of other strategies that we have discussed. And at the same time, we talked about what are the global challenges actually organizations can primarily face while they try to operate in global marketing. Now, on the second step, there are a couple of different things. This time, I have just tried to make it more and more interactive, and I have tried to make more related to what's happening around in the world. Before I just start with my punchline, I just want to share with you. There is a reason that I've written all these things, these 5, 7, 8 points for your information. I may not be able to read all of them once in a go, but I just want to let you know that these are the places that I have been to. And there is a reason that I have been to these places, because there was a motivation behind me. I very well remember just from 2004 to onwards, pursuing my MBA degree, then going for my master's, and then accordingly, I have this urge to explore different cultures. And I have urge to explore different economies, and I have urge to talk to people from different backgrounds, demographic societies, different backgrounds, different religions. And there were places all over the world which usually used to attract me a lot. And this was the main motivation actually, which actually has pushed me towards pursuing my academic career in international marketing and in international business and world trade. There are a couple of things that I would love to mention. That I have been to the world endpoint, almost 200 kilometers away from Norway. Have played soccer on Coxsava Beach on River Tegas Atlantic, Lisbon, Portugal. And I certainly have survived for 72 hours without food, shelter, communication, with 3 of my incredible friends from Greece, Romania, and Ukraine. He had with Anna Frank in Amsterdam, where she wrote Diary of the Young Girl during Nazi occupation of the Holland in World War II. And obviously, I've seen the corpse of Vladimir Lenin, the father of Red Revolution, glimpses of World War II in the streets of St. Petersburg. And then I stand over the Rialto Bridge and San Marco Square in Venice, Italy, where Adriatic Sea flow between the streets of this wonderfully man-made city in the world. And then I have just sung huge on the most beautiful streets in the world, including Champs-Élysées in Paris, Arbat in Moscow, John Carroll in Oslo, and pink streets of Lisbon, Portugal. And obviously have kissed the place where Lady Diana has been killed during a road accident, and seen imperishable artworks of Michelangelo, Pablo Picasso, Van Gogh, Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt in the world's most famous museums, including Louvre in Paris and Summer Palace in St. Petersburg. Now, there is a specific reason that I've written all these things, and every line has a story behind that. But yet my urge and my aspirations, my desires are not over. As famous American poet Robert Frost has said, woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Yet I have so much desire to learn, that I have so much desire to visit the world's greatest companies and organizations, especially the Fortune 500 companies, to explore their culture, how they operate, what actually are the dynamics which makes them to be listed in the Fortune 500 global list. There is a reason that, as I have told you, but that's why I'm telling you all this, that when you try to pursue your career in international marketing, when you try to pursue your interest in research on international marketing, you must know what is the economic, political, cultural, demographical characteristics of the globe, or especially of those countries in which you really want to operate. It really helps you to understand more and more while strategizing your business strategies in those countries. So basically, my motto behind traveling to all these international countries and destinations was, it actually has helped me to understand more about the psychological conditions of the people, the economical conditions of those people, the market dimensions, what motivates them, what is actually restricted there, what actually motivates them, and how actually we can design something which can be sold to the which can be sold in the best possible way, and something which can create a comparative advantage for the company I am working for, which can create value for my company for which I am working, and I want that company to be expanded into different parts of the world. So this was my whole motivation behind all these travel, to understand more about the psychology of those countries, to more about the political systems of those countries, the culture, the marketing dynamics, the choices of the people, how they react to different situations, how actually, what is their purchasing powers and all that. This was the reason actually which has actually motivated me, which has pushed me to explore these wonderful countries, and accordingly it has helped me a lot to understand the dynamics of international marketing. This was the main factor that I just wanted to share with you, and this is what I advise to all the students, especially who are in their MBA and BBA, that if you really want to understand what's happening around the world, there is no other way except traveling to those countries, make friends with those people, have network with those teachers who are working there, or the students of those universities. Because wherever I have traveled, I certainly have visited the greatest universities in those countries, so that accordingly I can understand what is happening in their education system. So this is the only way that you can learn more and more about what is happening in those countries, their conditions and everything. And then this helps you to understand and to devise marketing strategies, no matter you are operating in UAE, no matter you're operating in Pakistan or anywhere part of the world. If you know people, you know the markets. And as some wise man has said, that before that I used to believe that knowledge is power, but not. Knowledge is not the power. Knowing people is more powerful than having knowledge, because if you know people, you know their psychology, you know their system, you know their traditions, you know their cultures, and you know their dynamics, and accordingly it helps you to do your business in the best possible way. So this is the only advice I can give to all of the students, that if you really want to be global marketing expert, to develop excellent marketing strategies for your organizations, travel the world as much as possible. And I tell you the story of the Phil Knight, the CEO, the creator of Nike, the world famous sports shoes company. He had to travel to Japan at that time in order to copy and ideas and to understand what actually Japan was making, which was that time dominating in the world. And there was a war between Japan and America at that time. But Phil Knight didn't actually hesitate to travel to Japan to understand the marketing dynamics. And this is what he has written in his famous book, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's a very, very fantastic book, and it is must-read for the business students. So same advice I'm going to give you on my first slide, that travel the world if you really want to be a good understanding personality of global business and global business strategies. All of you might have seen an incident just happened before, but before I go for this incident, I certainly want you to show this video as well. And on this video, I want a couple of comments from the audience as well. But before I go for the video, I just want to make and clarify one simple line for all of you, that in this world in which we are living, there are no more distances. There was a time when we were talking about distance learning, distance marketing and all that. But now it is not about the distance. It is more about the digital. It is more about the accessibility. Now word distance has been replaced with the word digital, because it is as much easy to talk to people sitting in different time zones and different demographic locations as just within the nick of time, within just a second. As I just connected from Pakistan and you are sitting in Sharjah and maybe at your homes or maybe in your classrooms, wherever you are, but we are just connected within a couple of seconds to talk to each other, to see each other, and to share ideas and thoughts. So it means that there are no more distances. There are only now digital spaces in which we have to operate, and this is all about accessibility. And this this is the only strategy now left with the international organizations or the global businesses, that they have to focus on going digital, and they have to be accessible in order to be successful in the market. In order to make or in order to create their comparative advantage over the competitors, they have to be digital, and they have to be as much accessible for the consumers as much possible. There are no more distances. I'm going to repeat once again, and I'm just going to link it up with the modern education system as well. As nobody has ever imagined that we will be having online classes that time, online degrees. You can see the greatest universities of the world are offering degree programs in online and they are cheaper compared to physical education. Now even the higher education will not be that much issue for those students who really want to have education in the greatest universities of the world. There are online courses available, there are certifications, there are degree programs going on. So now it is more about digitalization. Universities are actually, you know what, they are collaborating with each other. They are making big consortiums where they can use the resources of each other to provide quality and cheaper education to the majority of the world, because internet has just disrupted all over the world. And this is all about accessibility and digitalization, that the world's highest institutions, universities, are offering us degrees at our doorstep. At the same time, the organizations, the business organizations, the business companies, the firms are offering us products at our doorsteps. Just a couple of days before, I ordered Nike shoes from Vietnam, and probably I'll be receiving tomorrow myself. So it is just on your click. It is all about digitalization. It is all about accessibility, and there are no more distances. I just want to show you just this 40 seconds video, and then I want comments from my students, so that accordingly I can have your views on that, because this is a prevailing phenomena, and I want all of you to just see it that way. Dr. Jalal, are you with me? Are you listening us?
Yeah, we are listening.
Okay, sir. So this is a very small 45-second ad. This happened just a couple of days back in Euro 2020 Cup. I want all of you to just see it up, and then we can get back to our close.
By the way, when you are running this particular video, you have to put that sound to be on, because once you're sharing,
there was no sound. There was no sound inside, so it was just a video. There was no sound actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is just body language or the text. Because I wanted to, yes, this is the only signal that he has made, Cristiano Ronaldo, to actually make things clear for the audience. And this small gesture, probably you all have know that it is called a $4 billion US bottle swap, and it has given to the D value of the Coca-Cola market $4 billion US. This one action is actually signifying, or is actually displaying what? And Professor Rashid and Professor Jalal, I really want the students to just come up, just let me know what is it, what are the apprehensions, what are the implications of this one action, what they are actually, how they are understanding this, what actually it is displaying, what it means when actually what it actually means for the global companies, especially big companies like Coca-Cola or Heineken even. I just want a couple of some ideas from students, what actually they are thinking on that. Anyone?
So you meaning actually why he doing this his behavior?
Yes, exactly. What actually is the signal? Why actually he's doing it, and what is the signal for the global companies? The companies actually which are operating in global arena. What is signal for them?
It is the signal from them. It is just some show to the people, but the reply for the Coke, it is very strong about the behavior of Cristiano Ronaldo. When they reply him, it is very strong, because after what he did, they advertise the advertising from him about the Coke in 2009.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Asif, if you allow me, can I add something?
Yes, please. Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Asif, I mean, now this becomes one of the classic examples of negative word of mouth. Actually, he should not have done it. Ronaldo was not supposed to behave like this. This is an anti-professional behavior, and this behavior has made some socialist, or some social activist groups and NGOs very happy, because he said, "Don't drink Coca-Cola, drink water." He just said, "Drink water." So his behavior was not liked by companies, and yes, that day Coca-Cola saw a decline in its share value of what you are showing. But now Coca-Cola has already come up with a solution. They are working on solution And Coca-Cola is a company which is there for more than 100 years. It is much
Yeah,
bigger brand than Ronaldo. So Ronaldo is just like, these guys are for 10 years, 15 years. But Coca-Cola is a over 100-year brand. They have come up with solutions like, they will do something with every Coke. They might give some water bottle in some markets where there will be bad impact and all that. And they will recover. With passage of time, they are going to recover it. But this becomes now in books of marketing, this example will be considered as a classic of negative word of mouth.
Negative word of mouth, and this is a very good addition. This is very good point, that this is actually the classical example of negative word of mouth. And one important element that actually I have given the reference of this lecturer from University of Liverpool. She has written a very fantastic article on that, and basically given a warning actually to the big companies and the big sponsors who are actually operating in such kind of big events, that the element of social marketing cannot be ignored any further. And it will actually,
there is another aspect of this, Mr. Asif. Like, people are thinking that Ronaldo became a bigger guy. He became a bigger brand after being so honest. That, he is a very health conscious guy, one of the most health
yes,
conscious sports person.
yes,
So he thought that he will be a more popular guy. But then you have to understand that people have been drinking Coca-Cola right from 5 generations. So
that's
some
true.
people, they dislike him. Like I personally, now I don't like him because Coca-Cola I love more than Ronaldo.
That's
Some
true.
people can be there like that. So his brand popularity might reduce, and Coca-Cola will have its own sympathy consumers who will be supporting Coca-Cola. So it was not a professional behavior as a whole. Doing it in public platform where
Mhm.
whole world is watching you, behaving negatively with some brand is not a professional. He is a risky celebrity now. Other brands should be careful of him, because if he does not like them, then he can, it's kind of misbehaving with a brand. Products are made in factories, brands are built in the minds of consumer. And
That's
he,
true.
damaged the brand so badly. Personally, it's not a great incident. I don't consider it great, but yes, it's a classic example, as you said and as we discussed.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. There are many other dimensions as well, but this will be is sincerely another big debate on that, because especially he's risky. He has become risky for especially the brands who actually are more into food and nutrition. Because if you are just representing sports and promoting healthy lifestyle, but at the same time you're endorsing brands which are not good for the health and all that, so accordingly that's a paradoxical situation in marketing. And in marketing literature, certainly, in my personal opinion, I was just seeing it as a student of marketing, that this is going to generate a couple of new dimensions for students to explore actually. And especially the big brands, they are now going to be very much conscious while sponsoring in some big events.
Yes, and there
Because
will be new clauses now when
yeah,
companies sign agreement with celebrities. Now there
yeah.
will be new added clauses which will say that you cannot speak negative about brand for so many years and all that. Such things will be new additions as implication.
Yeah, that's a very good, another dimension as well. Thank you very much for this wonderful feedback. It was great actually, because basically I wanted is to actually have to build up an understanding that when you have almost 300 million followers on Instagram, and your one act actually can create this much kind of a new dimension for the people to talk about and all that. So being a student of marketing, we have to just understand what is the philosophy behind all that, and try to figure it out, that how marketing and is going to be disturbed, or maybe how organizations are going to respond it, because many other sports stars are going to copy the same concept. Later on, we have seen this French star, and then again from this Italian star at the same time. So these are basically the thing, as we have seen
Sir,
that. Yeah,
So
please.
Fatima
if you
wants to
allow,
say something. Yeah,
yeah,
Fatima.
Yes,
sir,
Fatma,
I
please.
I feel like there is also another logic behind it, that maybe Coca-Cola asked Ronaldo to do an advertisement, but they didn't agree on the price, which actually made Ronaldo angry, and like he decided to take revenge in this way. This is what I feel like.
Okay, this could be one point. Anyone else? Any of the students? If somebody has 2 cents to
Dr.
share.
Paul wanted to say something. Dr. Paul?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to say that At times, though mine may be a contrary opinion, companies may want to unjustifiably use personalities and celebrities for their own gain, and the celebrity may not be gaining. And again, even though I'm in strategy, Dr. Pranav will agree with me, any publicity, whether negative or positive, is still publicity.
It's still publicity. Yeah,
That's true, doctor. That's true. Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Amna, go ahead, please. Amna.
So, yeah, hi. So I feel basically Ronaldo did because it's of health issue. Like, he's a sportsman, so he know what's the basic need for person and what is not. So I feel maybe he did due to that.
The whole world is saying this only, Amna. It is, of course, yes, it is very
This is
true.
one aspect. Yes, this is one aspect actually about health. Because this is the only thing that whole world is talking about.
Yeah, Mr. Asif, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for this input. It was great to have different views on that, and for this debate at the same time. These are a couple of four things when we talk about integrated marketing or when we talk about internationalization of markets and productions. This is the last thing that in a previous talk that I shared with all of the students, that due to the internationalization and the globalization of businesses, the global business GDP possibly is expected to rise up to 149 trillion US dollars in 2021 approximately. And how actually different big companies are organizing and making their operations from all over the world based on different dynamics, including the cheap labor, the availability of the material, and the accessibility, and how accordingly, and the skilled labor at the same time. The Boeing Jets, Airlines, Japan, Singapore, Italy, IBM design in US, case, keyboard, hard drives in Thailand, plus display screen and memory in South Korea, and wireless cards in Malaysia, and microprocessor in the United States of America. Similarly, when we talk about Japanese brand Toyota manufacturing vehicles and components in Japan and 26 other countries, regions, primarily North America. At the same time, when these global companies are operating in different parts of the world based on different dynamics, including the cheap labor, the availability of the raw material, and certain friendly policies of the government, at the same time, the situation has become very much complex for them as well to monitor and to operate and to actually streamline the operations as well, because accordingly, the more control they want, the high cost it involves, which we are going to discuss in the forthcoming slides about the economy of cost theory. Basically, the why actually they are just expanding the operations worldwide, and actually how, then what are the risks, then what are the takeaways, and what are the pros and what are the cons, and actually how the companies are going to. So this, when we talk about the accessibility and when we talk about the digitalization, so this is how it is before that. Now the digitalization has just actually synchronized all these operations and make the connectivity as a reliable source to manage all these things at the same time, but making it more complex at the same time, for the which organizations have to make out, or they have to actually come up with different new techniques to manage their operations worldwide, especially the manufacturing of different parts. This is just one example. Usually I was having a question. I was just like looking for a research article in which I was just a question that global marketing is only for the big companies, or usually when we talk about global marketing, we actually think of the company, maybe it is from the Fortune 500 or maybe it is some huge company. But actually there is a very interesting article or a case study in Harvard Business Review, and in which actually it has been categorically written that it is not necessarily that you are a big company and then you have to go for a global marketing. So this tip is for actually students, that even if it is a small company, and even if it is a small company with limited operations, if they have an excellent marketing strategy, they can actually increase their business and sales to as many countries as possible. As we have this Australian e-commerce store neon puddles. Actually, it is a story of a father who actually was looking for some neon lights for her daughter, which he couldn't find. And what actually he came to know in his mind, that why not to start his own kind of neon brands. So he actually started working on that, and approximately right now, within just a small period of time, you can see that a small e-commerce store, Neon Powder Australia, growing revenue by 232% to huge publishing companies like Netflix, expanding to over 190 countries and generating 100 million international subscribers. The examples are unstoppable. So actually what I mean is that it is not necessarily that you belong to Toyota or General Motors or Netflix. Even it is a small company with some excellent product, with some unique product, with some unique idea. And as we already have talked about the accessibility and digitalization. So if you have placed your product at the right place and you digitize it, and actually you try to reach at the right audience, accordingly, you can be global while sitting anywhere in the world. It is not actually the volume of the business operations which makes you global. Actually, it is actually what you are offering to the market, what you are offering to the people, how you are addressing their needs. This actually makes you a global company. And these are the couple of examples. If you just see it as how actually various companies have been observed to expand their businesses step by step in the global arena. So the desirable strategy is to take over the world step by step and according to the local needs. This one element is extremely important, and that's the best example we have seen from Shopify, the Canadian e-commerce giant, over 1,700,000 businesses in 175 countries around the world, and have made over $200 billion in sales using Shopify. What actually they do is the only one strategy they do. Wherever they do operate locally. At your right, you are seeing their website. It is in French, and at your left, as it is on my left, it is their website that we have seen. The same thing, it is they are being presented in German language. So what actually they do is, whatever their target markets are, they actually design their websites. They actually design their campaigns according to the local needs and the psychology of the people, the things which are convenient to understand for the local people. And this is the reason behind the big success of this this e-commerce website, that they are offering things, products, different products line and all that, as par with the local cultures. The language is local, the presentation is local, the ideas behind conveying the marketing messages for changing the consumer behavior in their own benefit is always local. So the first point that actually I want to make for the students is, from a strategic point of view, is that when you try to go for the global marketing, you have to take it over step by step. And when we talk about strategic management, it is all about three things that I want to share with my students. Number one is, it's about locations and accessibility. We used to talk about location of a business, and we used to talk about how to access it. But now, if we just combine location and accessibility both into one, and that is all virtual. Everything is just on your fingertips. Whatever you want, whatever you need, just explore it up, just find it out, have your choice, and just order it. So the location and accessibility, from strategic point of view, this is a strategic approach. From strategic point of view, now organizations are going this location and accessibility thing is being converted into a virtual. It is a virtual now everything is just accessible on your internet. And the second important thing is the building relationships and communications. What global companies are doing is they are investing more and more on building relationships and communication. And when we combine relationships and communication, we drive the word digital marketing. It is through social media marketing, it is through influencers marketing, it is through digital marketing, and all the best possible sources according to the dynamics of that market. So this is how actually brands are now building relationships and communication with their target customers. And the biggest source of this relationship, building the relationship and communication, is digital marketing. And there are no more days now we are shopping anything while looking at a hoarding or maybe looking at a big billboard or something like that. Now it is more about recommending. If one of our friends is recommending, that is social influencers marketing. I have planned another lecture on that. This is a separate, very fantastic emerging phenomena in the world of social media marketing. We call it influencers marketing, the non-traditional social media celebrities. This is another phenomena which is just building up right now, especially in South Asian countries, but not new in Western and European countries. So these are the sources actually how global brands are actually building their relationships and communication. And the third most important element, strategic element for global marketing is fast track services. Now, how companies actually are giving fast track services? It is actually building different apps, making the websites more and more personal and user friendly for the visitors. When you go visit the website, you have actually experienced everything. As IKEA is doing at the same time for their flat pack furnitures, Shopify is doing at the same. Similarly, you have multiple examples available that they want to make their users experience very well and very much memorable. So these three elements from strategic point of view are extremely important for the global businesses which the companies are adopting these days. Number one is location and accessibility, and they have converted it into virtual reality. And the second thing is building relationship and communication with the consumers, and they are doing it with digital marketing. And the third thing is fast track services, which they are doing is investing more and more on building apps and investing and making the websites more and more user friendly. And accordingly, in all these things, one element which companies are not going to miss is to generate their contents according to the psychology and the needs and the convenience of the local people and the local market in which the companies are operating. Second thing is second element is differentiate your offerings to meet the demand of the new global markets you get into. Think about branding to figure out the best way to make the best first impression in the new market, and localize your message based on the biggest pain and desire of your new market in the different countries. Shopify domain, as I just discussed in the previous slide, that they've almost gone 10.5k keywords and generate more than 47.5 thousand clicks from the search each month, and this traffic is valued as incredible 53.5 thousand US dollars per month. So this is a little graph as well showing some technical side of all this information. So what all I mean is, as I discussed in the previous slide, that you have to take over the world step by step. If I go to the previous, the first one was look at your customer from where they are coming, and then localize and accessibility, how they are doing it through virtual reality, then relationship and communication through digital marketing, and fast track services through building apps and websites, and differentiating the products, thinking of the branding, and building a very first good impression in the market where you operate, and localize your message. As I have discussed, that if you just localize your message, and there's another thing, how building a message is another complete theory on that, persuasion theory, which we cannot discuss in detail over here. Maybe some other time in another talk we can talk on that. That building a message, its contents, its appeal is another thing that brands needs to work on, and they're doing it a very fantastic way, especially when they're operating in the global markets. There are a couple of three very most important issues that needs to be addressed, and being students of marketing, we all and the marketing researchers, we need to understand them. And these are the issues that have been extracted from a very famous article on global marketing from Susan P. Douglas and Samuel Craig, and consideration of the important to tackle for the global companies. The increased complexity of managing operations on global scale. The one thing that I discussed in my first or second slide, that the more operations you are expanding, at the same time, the things are getting complex for the companies to actually manage those operations. And that actually implies that the transaction cost theory. Now, there are two things in this theory actually. it all depends upon the desire of the company, how much control the company wants on those operations. Because if you want to have more control on the operations outside of your country, you need to have more cost on that. But if you want to have an agreement with some of the local company and you give them operations and you give them to take care of your business and you give them all the autonomy to manage in that country, then accordingly you have less control, but less cost at the same time. But if you want to have the more cost, more control over your own operations, if you want to have more hold on your own operations, no matter wherever you are operating, then you have to have higher your cost at the same time. So this is one thing actually, which is global companies are actually having this challenge of cost and control at the same time, and that's what we call transaction cost theory. And then there is increased intensity of competition from established multinationals and new competitors from the emerging markets. This is something very important to understand. The emerging markets, which nowadays are being considered, are South Africa, Brazil, Thailand, India, and Russia at the same time. So there are other companies actually, and as Dr. Jalal mentioned in his introductory remarks about the global companies are not only facing the competition from the international competitors, but at the same time the local companies are actually giving them a big competition, because there are now another or more emerging concepts of globalization than globalization. Then you are local and global at the same time, at what we call globalization. The local companies have their own association with the consumer. The consumer have their own emotional attachment with the local companies. At the same time, when a multinational comes, and accordingly it becomes really challenging for them to actually sometimes even maintain their loyalty. So this intensity of competition from the established multinationals and the new competitors from emerging markets is another big challenge for global companies that they have to actually maintain. And one of them is this the mighty initiative of China, what we call it One Belt, One Road, which is just like spending all over the world, starting from Asia, going to Europe, and going to even the North American countries like Brazil and all that. This is what we need to just understand, that how actually these new entrants and the emerging markets and the emerging brands, especially the emerging economic powers, are going to make impact on the global markets. Exploiting opportunities in emerging markets, including India, Mexico, Russia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, China, and Brazil. So these are actually the huge markets, as you have India more than 1 billion population, Pakistan over 200 and more than 200 million population, then China obviously, in Brazil and South Africa, and just interestingly in them, Brazil, China, and Russia, including South Africa, they are also part of a big kind of cartel, what we call it, that's called BRICS. So they also have their own actually dynamics, and these are emerging markets as well, emerging economies as well at the same time. So for global companies, these challenges needs to be catered, and for that they need actually pragmatic strategies to operate in those countries, and especially when the digitalization is going to have an excellent and very impressive and very decisive impact on the business operations, especially when consumers are getting more and more aware about the sustainability, about the products, when the competition is very high. So all these things are actually putting tough challenges for the brands actually, or for the firms to operate in global arena. And these are the challenges actually which companies face while evolving global marketing strategy. This is just one idea. I just want to have a fair idea for the students, especially, that how this One Belt, One Road initiative looks like. So these are the route networks, railway networks, special industrial zones for the companies, for the businesses, and how much economy, how many economies are going to just integrate in this one initiative. And still the consequences are not known. This is all about still predictions. Still you can see from Beijing, then Moscow, then Rotterdam. It is going from Italy and Venice, and then Nairobi and Kenya and Jakarta. So this huge, massive kind of economic zone or economic revolution which is coming up. This is something which is going to be a big challenge, and companies needs to have their strategies according to that way. Somebody was saying something. I'm sorry, I just missed it. Hello? Is there any comment
Yeah.
from anyone?
Yeah, can I interject a little bit?
Yes,
Hello?
please.
Yeah, now you're talking of the Silk Road
Yeah.
from China, and you realize that Chinese companies are trying to use the Silk Road to be everywhere in the face of the world, yet the Chinese brands tend to have a negative image. What can you say about that?
Yeah, this is established fact actually. Already we know it all very well, especially marketing students, that the Chinese brands have kind of negative what you call it impression all over the world, but it is not negative all over the world. Like there are developing countries or maybe the less developed countries where their products are very easily available and they are very useful at the same time. So a product which is negative for one country maybe have a positive impact for the other country. This all depends how we are going to operate and in which countries they are going to operate. Maybe if they're making something for a less developed country have some bad quality, but at the same time if they're making something expensive and something good for another country, so this could be that way. So it all depends again upon the brand and actually in the country where it is going to be introduced. This is my implication that this is not all about roads. This is all about the expansion of their economy, and expansion of the economy is best possibly can be conducted through expanding your brands and businesses alongside these roads.
Mr. Asif, if you allow me, can I just add to Paul's question?
Please.
Yeah, Dr. Paul, Chinese brands, they don't have, any more negative perception. Now that time has totally gone. It used to be around a decade before. Now China, you have to look at from different perspective. China is the country which has enabled even a small worker earning 500 dirham. He can buy anything, a good phone, a good smartwatch, anything that you can think of. If you remember the time before China, the time when cameras were coming from Japan like Yashica, Fuji, etc. They were not at all affordable. Even elite could not buy that. It is because of China that today a poor person is also able to live a high quality life. Just remove China, we go back to Stone Age where all big brands are exploiting people. So China is helping. Now generally we don't say that Chinese brands have negative perception. All good products that you have, like right from your iPhone to whatever you name
Even
it,
iPhone, yes, exactly.
everything coming from
Yes,
China. So
yes.
American, the best brand, Apple, one of the strongest brand, and they are manufacturing their phone in China through Foxconn, Taiwanese company. So China does not have any more negative perception. Gone are those days. That was 10 years before, I agree. Now China is the best place for manufacturing sector. Like wherever you are from Kenya, wherever you come from, if you want to open a company where you can get, resources at cheapest prices, then China is the option. So China is the best, sourcing destination now, rather than having that perception. That's just my understanding, doctor. Yeah.
Yes.
Another. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, Dr. Pranav, thank you very much, because the reason as to why I asked that question is even though the perception has been there, big nations are still strengthening that because business is not very far from geopolitics. iPhone may be sourcing its products from China, but you still realize that it is the intellectual capital, meaning, well, it may not really be low quality, but they exploit the perception, because marketing is about perception, that China's brand is inferior to the other brands.
Well, that is okay, doctor. I mean, we are not talking about local Chinese brands. We are talking about China as a global destination for international companies. And now you can see, just take one product. Today, you can buy everything that is available in Saraf DG. There is just one product that we all cannot buy. What is that product? These are electric cars. It is coming from where? Tesla. Tesla is the car you cannot even enter in the showroom, many average people. Why we cannot buy electric cars today? Because China is not producing. And when we will be able to buy it, when Chinese companies they start bringing it. So that is the power of China, manufacturing sector, the secondary sector. So yeah, this debate will go, as much as you want, Doctor.
Rashid Khalis has something to say. Mr. Rashid Khalis.
Yeah, actually, my like answer to this particular one, I totally agree with the perception how the people are perceiving about the product, and it's obviously the quality and the standards. Chinese are manufacturing in different quality standards. You can find it out A, B, C, D, anything, and price margins are accordingly set for that one. Now, taking an example of this particular phenomena, Dr. Paul, you might be knowing or not, but honestly speaking, in textile sector and the garment sector, I'm very much knowing about it, and Mr. Asif might be the second one who's knowing a lot about textile and the garment sector. Now you can see that United States, Walmart, Kmart, Shibo, Selfridges, all these big brands are getting their products from where? Obviously, they are getting their products either from China or otherwise Bangladesh, which was never been on the screen earlier, because in the past it was Pakistan, India, China, and all these major countries are the ones who are growing actually this cotton. And now what happened is, wherever you find the labor to be cheap and accessible with your quality standards, the product can be made. That is why the Bangladesh economy has gone to miles. If we see now, they are the biggest source for the textile and the garment sector. Now, same is the case like United States. Turkey is the second largest garment manufacturers. And why it is so? Because they are producing the goods and the quality which is acceptable throughout the world. And their particular brands are equally into the market with a lesser price and accessibility. So I agree with Dr. Pranav on that particular point. You name it, the products are available in China. They can make you available in quantity and quality and the standards which you want. It's all about that what company is actually.
Thank you very much. I also think that as we indulge in the debate, there's a difference between production, manufacturing, and marketing. Marketing is at the latter end of the value chain.
Yes.
And when we mix that with the production, which is in the middle of the value chain, there is a problem, because in actual sense, manufacturing is getting transferred already from the Western countries. Now it has gone to Asia, largely China, India, Pakistan, Taiwan, and a little bit of Japan, even though Japan is in the Western.
Doctor, don't forget Vietnam. Vietnam is the next China.
Oh,
yes, exactly. They are.
It's a huge market. Yes.
So when marketing, when manufacturing has been transferred through technology transfer and all that, now what we are talking about here is marketing at the latter end of the value chain. So what is being manufactured? And I agree with you. In terms of cotton, in terms of garments, Turkey, which is in the middle of Europe and Asia, is doing very well, and the acceptance levels are very high. The perception is better. But still in China, because of the categories A, B, C, D, E, that is bringing the problem.
And Dr. Paul, you know what is the future, where the future belongs to? We talked about products. Now the biggest opportunity or biggest threat, whatever you call it, now the thing that is coming, world is scared of that. That is made in China graduates. China is having millions of graduates who are very technically sound, much more than what you have in other countries. So once they start coming out of China and looking for jobs, then jobs will also be taken by them. Made in China graduate is the future. Let's wait for that. We will see in this decade.
Okay. Yeah. I think now we can continue with the students. They can keep on debating.
But this is very, very, very thought-provoking and enlightening discussion from Honorable Dr. Pranav, Dr. Paul, and Rashid Khalis. Really, thank you very much for adding this value to the students. audience, obviously to me as well. I'm just concluding the last part of my talk. We might be needing 2-3 minutes more. I just want to show one simple ad between, this was an advertising war between BMW and Audi. And I just want the students to actually take the message whenever they are going to advertise and create the content for the global companies, how they operate actually, how they respond when somebody hits them, a big brand hits another brand, and how actually they respond to them. This is something worth watching. It's a very small ad of 2 minutes. Please watch it, and then we move on. Well, thank you very much for this this message to watch. Actually, I wanted to convey my message that it is not always important that you retaliate when somebody hits you up and when you have something big to show off. You always come up with a brilliant, creative idea to hit back at your competitor, and that's what these both brands have been doing, showing off that how they are doing, what they have won, and what they have won. And these are three ads. Actually, I just want to restrain myself to one ad that I just have shown. So this is actually very important that when you are digitally conveying your message to the larger audience, that how you are going to respond. This needs a lot of creativity and a lot of brainstorming actually to build up your content. And this is actually what I call is the linchpin, without which the house of cards fall. If you don't have a creative and influential and persuasive digital marketing strategy and a creative response to the such moves by your competitors, you might be the story of the past very soon without creating any sustainable impact on the minds of your consumer. This is how actually the global brands maintain their image and the placement in mind of their customers all over the world. And this one second last slide, as I have discussed earlier, basically these global brands, big brands, how actually they are what you call it, organizing the sentiments of their people and using celebrities. I have used two words, social SMIs, we call it social media influencers, what we call it vloggers, or the bloggers these days are very famous, and then the traditional celebrities, to engage them in different global markets to sell actually what is important to them. As we have pumpkin spice latte, that is very famous a latte of Starbucks, introduced in 2003. It is a sign of a pop culture now, and CNBC reports that 424 million have been sold worldwide since its launch. And what they're doing is they are advertising and conveying the message through social media influencers, digital marketing, and celebrity. And the same kind, this HelloFresh, it's a meal kit delivery company. operating in US, Canada, and UK, the Netherlands, and the Germany, and they are actually doing the same thing, in engaging the celebrities. And at the same time, social media influencers. These two elements are very much important to the core of the global businesses. Wherever you are going to operate, your message need to be conveyed in conformity with the conveyor. He or she could be a celebrity or a social media influencers, and that's how actually you hit your niche in order to stay ahead of your competitors. These three theories I added in my last class as well, but at the same time I just wanted to revive. Being students of marketing and my honorable faculty members are there, they must be knowing about all of them, that whenever it is all about operating in global arena, these three theories are kept in mind, and these are basically being adopted by majority of the multinational companies whenever you view them. One is the transaction cost approach, as I have discussed earlier, that if you want to have a more control over your operations, it needs more cost, it needs more resources to involve so that you can have maximum control over your operations across borders. And the second thing is standardization and adaptive perspective or theory. It is that multinational firms would only be successful if they market standardized products worldwide, as we say, one size fits all, taking advantage of potential economy of scales with the larger production, distribution, marketing, and management. And then the last and very significant theory of 1977, it's the stage theory, in which actually you enter into a small market, you learn from the experience, then at another stage you go into the second country, then you go into the third country, and step by step you keep learning from these small segments, these small countries, or these small markets, and then it's at a stage you start operating in a lot of countries. So this theory, stage theory, is actually more recognized, that this way you can learn from the risks you take, then the markets, its dynamics, and accordingly you can plan for the next market, and then you go on the next and next, and so you go on, and this is how you expand yourself into the global markets. So most of the companies, if you study them, they actually are falling in one of these above said categories. These are the recommended readings. These are some interesting articles and a book as well at the same time. I would recommend my students to just go through them once, especially to understand if you really want to make your career in research and you go for your master degrees or your PhD degrees later on. So from theoretical understanding, these books and articles will help you to understand a few of the very core dynamics of international and global marketing. This is all from my end. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions or maybe any comment, or maybe that can add value to the enlightenment of all the audience and myself as well. So player is all mine. I'm ready to listen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asif. It was really very insightful and interesting presentation. I would like to add a few things, then we can ask if anyone also want to say something. So in my opinion, when a company plans to expand the business to international market, the most important thing to do is to conduct an analysis. So in this analysis, we will understand about our strengths, about our weaknesses. Then we know whether we are ready to go to international market or not.